So if I am already creating an internal dialogue about how I'm going to respond, I have completely stopped listening to the person that I'm talking to. I have no ability to listen to them at the same time because I'm already formulating my response because I've already decided what the rest of their story is.
Focus, especially in today's world, is a superpower. If you can learn and be intentional about focusing on listening with the intent to understand versus the intent to respond, this is the secret weapon of sales. If you can be an empathic listener and be great at asking questions, so oftentimes the client will sell themselves on you. People sell themselves when you allow them to talk and share their challenges. Hello, I'd like to welcome you all to the Wisdom of Wrench podcast. My name is Kevin Comerford, and I'm your host, co-host, of course, because in studio, we have the wonderful Amanda Meyer. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to have you here.
It's so good to be here.
And also, behind all of the equipment is our producer, Andrew Zaragoza, who is always such a great voice of the people. So, Andrew, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Great to see you both.
Yeah. So today, we're talking about a culture item. We're talking about what we call a common service language. These are things that help establish and build the culture inside our company. And when you hear them said or shared, you immediately know what it means. And it's one of the differentiators because, in my opinion, the only competitive advantage we have in the marketplace is our culture. So these are stakes that we put in the ground that separate our culture from everybody else. So today's common service language is this, Amanda. Listen with the intent to understand versus listening with the intent to respond. Yeah, we got lots to unpack about this.
This is a good one.
Yeah. What Amanda and I are going to talk about today is, what does that mean? What does that common service language mean? Why it's important, and how does it show up in our daily life? So let's jump right into it and talk about what is it? What does that mean? And I'll share that there was a great book that was written when I was young in business. I was probably 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. And a gentleman by the name of Stephen Covey wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. 7 Habits. And it was a New York Times bestseller. And it was really, it took over the business philosophy section in so many different bookstores. This one book did. And habit number 5 in that book is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And out of that habit came this common service language item, which is really just focusing on listening, to understand first, hold off on responding. Why we as a society want to respond when we're listening, I don't know. We're going to talk about something in a minute. I'm going to make a note of it. What I call one-upsmanship that happens every single day. Yes. Okay, so let me give you an example, Amanda. And then I'm going to let you share. Okay? Let's say, do you have pretty good eyes? Do you have good eyes?
I have good eyes, yes.
You do have good eyes.
I have good eyes.
Okay. So you go to the optometrist, okay? And you walk in, the optometrist has got a pair of glasses on herself, okay? And she sits you down and talks to you about what's going on and how your day is going. And You say to her, look, my eyes have been bothering me. And she says to you, here, put these on. Literally, she takes off her glasses that she's been wearing for over 10 years and hands them to you and says, what do you think? Amanda looks through the glasses and says, they're a little bit blurry and I can't see a thing. And the optometrist says, what? How could you be so ungrateful? These are the glasses that I've been using for 10 years. This is how I see the world. What do you mean it doesn't work for you? This is what listen with the intent first to understand versus with the intent to respond. Really make sure that you diagnose before you prescribe. In everything we do. Mm-hmm. Yes, I gave a doctor example, and we can give many doctor examples for your knee, for your shoulder, for your eyes. Always diagnose before you prescribe. What's resonating, Amanda?
Well, I can tell you right out of the gate that, we're not even at the examples portion yet, but I feel like I'm ready with like 6 examples because I remember this showing up. I know this shows up in my life all the time, and I have to monitor it. I have to watch out for it.
By the way, for all of us, it does. It shows up. Yeah. So you're human.
Well, and this is the easiest example that I can give, which is that if you're at work or you're having a conversation maybe with a significant other, someone you talk to a lot, and you can feel the same conversation coming up that you've had with them over and over again. So, like the conversation of like, what are we going to have for dinner? Or, hey, what's going on with my computer? Or, right. Those conversations where you're like, I've explained this so many times. Where as soon as the conversation starts, you stop listening because you already have your answer ready to go. Did you turn it off and turn it back on again? You're going to tell me you don't want sushi for dinner, right? Like you already have these prepared answers because you feel like you've had this conversation so many times. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you guys. I'm not good at I'm a loud thinker. So I know that sounds weird. I'm a loud thinker, so if I am already creating an internal dialogue about how I'm going to respond, I have completely stopped listening to the person that I'm talking to. Mm. I have no ability to listen to them at the same time because I'm already formulating my response because I've already decided what the rest of their story is, which is similar to the doctor analogy, which is that you came in, you have bad eyes. I have a solution. It's these glasses. Mm-hmm. Let me give them to you. Mm-hmm. I am now putting my narrative onto your narrative without even getting all of the information. So for all you loud thinkers out there, you gotta check for that because boy, is it dangerous. But it's interesting because it happens to us when we're on autopilot. This is a very intentional common service language that you have to be really, really intentional about this because if you let yourself go into autopilot, you'll continue to do that. You'll continue to let your internal monologue take over the conversation. And then you're not listening to understand anymore because you've stopped listening. You're preparing your answer in your head.
I love that. Being intentional about this common service language, and it speaks, in my opinion, to the fact that focus, especially in today's world, is a superpower. Mm-hmm. And we live in a distracted society with phones and TVs and everything going off and just all these different advertisers that want our attention, that if you can learn and be intentional about focusing, and in this particular case, focusing on listening with the intent to understand versus the intent to respond, that is a separation. Mm-hmm. That is a separator from you and the rest of society. You want to be different? Whew. Amanda, I think this is a secret sauce for our companies.
Yes.
If our technicians can be that way, if our call center agents can be that way, if our dispatchers to our technicians can be that way, if our accounting staff to our team that is in need of something can be that way, if our managers are that way to our installers or other field personnel, listening with the intent to understand versus listening with the intent to respond.
Yeah.
You sound like you want to say something.
No. I'm listening to understand, Kevin.
Okay. So I've got an example.
Yes.
This happens every single day at every restaurant going on right now. And I call it the One-Upmanship conversation.
Yes. You said at restaurants?
At restaurants every day.
Okay, continue.
Okay?
I'm ready.
Let's imagine, if you would, there's 4 people that are going out to dinner together. Okay, and let's just say it's 4 buddies. And they kick up conversation about their kids.
Mm.
And this could be men, this could be women. And one of them starts talking about their son that's playing baseball, and he's been progressing, and he's maybe he's gone into the into majors or senior major or whatever little league division he or she is in. He starts speaking, and somebody at the table says, "Oh, you want to know what my son's doing?
I've got a story.
My son's doing it. My son is also involved in baseball, and he's just starting in high school." And then that person starts speaking, and then the other person says, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, my son is also, or my daughter is in dance." And then the fourth person starts talking about what their kids are doing, and before you know it, we're looking to one up the other person because we're listening with the intent to respond. We're not even listening with the intent to understand what's going on in that person's world. We are so anxious, and we want to tell the world about what we've got going on. We lose sight of being intentional about understanding.
Yeah. And that's very human nature. We all live in our own spotlights, right? We're all the stars of our own movie. And so it's hard to turn that off. It's very automatic. So there's no fault if you catch yourself doing that. That is why you have to be so intentional about not doing it, though, right? About listening. Because what's happening is that the first person who's telling the story is sharing their experience, but you diminish their experience the second that you start to make it about yourself. And that's such a dangerous. Can I give my example? Can I make it about me, Kevin?
Go.
Can I make it about me?
We're still on the what? We're still on the what? So this is good.
So I'm pregnant right now.
Yeah.
And I learned in my first pregnancy that you can't talk to other moms about your pregnancy because it does become a one-upmanship game really quickly. So I do think it's because women, we do get to have this. We get to hold this over men. So we really love to to talk about how terrible labor is. And so the war stories you will hear in a delivery room are so immediate and so ready to tell you the what they had to battle through and the pain and, oh, they messed up my medication, or I had to do this and it wore off and it was terrible and blah, blah, blah. Like, they're so ready to share their war stories with you that it becomes diminishing for the experience of what should be really every individual woman's best moment of her life, which is that she birthed a child. And so it's so difficult to, like, for me at least, to want to be able to share my experience with other people, because when I get to my story, I'm like, my childbirth was like really easy, you guys. Like, I got an epidural, and honestly, the movies are lying to you. There is no drama in that delivery room. Like, it was easy peasy. Like, and so it's interesting because that's the real world example that I experience all the time. And it's like what you wanted when you first started talking about your childbirth or your current pregnancy, or you're talking about your kids, what you wanted was just to share your experience. But what you're getting instead is a competition. And it's like, well, I didn't want to compete. I just wanted to share my experience. And so it can actually, when you one up somebody, you can discourage them from wanting to share with you continuously. Which is, again, why my ongoing narrative is that My labor was really easy, guys. It was.
You also see this a lot with like how much money somebody spends or saves. They're like, oh, my car is the most expensive one right now in the parking lot, versus the other one. It's like, oh my gosh, I saved more money than anybody else when I bought that car.
Let me tell you what a deal I got.
Exactly. So it's the one-upsmanship, the like a double negative.
Totally easy traps that we fall into.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if we're staying on what this is and why we're poor at listening, you could look no further than our education system. We spent 12 years, some of us 16, some of us even 18, maybe 20. You're a doctor, 22 years going through school. And throughout that time, we had classes where we learned how to read, we learned how to write, and we learned how to speak. How many classes, Andrew and Amanda, did either of you ever take in listening?
That would be
I barely took the other ones, let alone. but none to answer the question.
Yes.
And I will say that reading does improve your ability to understand, but does not actually teach you how to listen. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we've never had a class on listening.
Nope.
And so we're going to stay on the what this common service language is with regards to the type of listening that you want to bring into a conversation. And that's what's called empathic listening. Empathic listening, again, you have to be ready and intentional, like you said, and focused on the person. And you have to be intentional that you prevent yourself from diminishing. The word that you used earlier is, the last thing I want to do is diminish Amanda and diminish Amanda's excitement. And I truly believe that we want for Amanda to enjoy herself, yet we get so caught up in our own home movie that we just all of a sudden puke all over her about my pregnancy.
Yeah.
Or my kids, or my financial wherewithal.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that the last thing people want to do is diminish the other person, yet they do it every single day. So if nothing else, what I hope this podcast brings to you, brings to all of our listeners, is just an awareness. Just be aware. Am I listening? Am I empathic listening, which we're going to talk about in a second? How am I doing with managing my question to statement ratio? Am I asking more questions of interest? Or am I just making statements about me? You want to share anything, Amanda?
I always like to emphasize question to statement ratio. Very handy. We talk about it when we talked about be more interested than interesting. You can practice this at any time. My favorite place to practice it is at parties, especially when you don't know a lot of people. Practice asking questions, as many questions as you can. Easy to practice. Do it.
Reps.
Do it.
Taking reps.
Yep. It takes practice like anything else. You're totally right. It takes practice. You have to put your reps in. So practice.
It takes practice, and it takes awareness. It takes being intentional, and it takes being okay that you take the spotlight off yourself.
Yeah.
So empathic listening is truly listening with the intent to understand. It's a deep rooted empathy, like empathic comes from the word empathy, right? Mm-hmm. And different than sympathy, Amanda, which sympathy is more like Mother Teresa. Mm-hmm. and oh gosh, I want to save the world, and I want to listen to Amanda because I want to just save her. No,
How dare
no.
she?
No, exactly. Where empathy is the ability to be able to walk in your shoes or the other person's shoes, see it from their perspective. And that takes a deep focus and ability to be able to listen, yes, with my ears. It's also listening with your eyes, because body language actually says a lot more than even the words sometimes. And listening with your heart. So you understand the feeling and the meaning that's taking place with that other person.
Mm-hmm.
This is where a lot of men might be like, whoa. You're talking about this feeling thing. Whoa. I liked everything you said up until now. I got to deal with feelings and emotions. You want to stand out? Men, be more in touch with that feminine side of concern and care and being empathetic. And it's just, it's an amazing thing that you can separate yourself and really stand out.
It takes patience too. I just, as you were listing those things, I want to, if you feel yourself getting frustrated with this process, with this common service language, it does require some patience, because it can be, especially in like the speed of conversation, right? When you're having a conversation where what you should be doing is being an empathetic listener. You also want the pace of the conversation to continue. For all you introverts out there that feel awkward when you're having face-to-face conversations and you're worried about those those dead air spots. And so you're always prepping your next response so there's no dead air. I know the anxiety. I know. But sometimes that dead air can be good. It gives people space to think and to continue their thoughts. So it does require a lot of patience to be able to absorb that information, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, the feelings that you're getting from that person. It takes time to absorb that. It requires patience.
Gosh, I what I'm hearing you say is you've got to be more of a crockpot than a microwave when it comes to empathic listening.
Yes.
Or as my buddy Pace always says to me, and what I've learned is conversations and relationships are so much better when you let things marinate.
Yes.
Just like food. Like, just let things marinate. Let's just be with each other and have time with each other. And rather than, well, as my wife always tells me, be a human being rather than a human doing. Let's just be together.
Yeah.
And let's just enjoy. And
yeah.
So it does take time.
Yeah. That marination can really help. It helps that person process what they're putting out there, but it can also give them time to work through maybe what your point of view was. If you're having a conversation, argument, a debate, if you have conflicting point of views, allowing that space, allowing that marination to happen helps both of you process. So,
and you just did a perfect transition into why is this important?
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Why is this important? And you said it, and Covey has a word for it, is when you listen, empathically listen, you give people that psychological air to be able to figure things out for themselves. Where, if you're listening with the intent to respond, we think, I got to be the one to give the advice. Oh, this person's talking to me, so they must want me to fix it for them.
Clearly.
Yeah, right. Where all that person wants, in a lot of cases, is truly just a sounding board.
Yeah.
because I truly believe that people can figure it out for themselves if you give them that psychological air, that psychological space, if you're patient, if you listen with the intent to understand.
Yeah, there is something powerful about being able to vocalize your thoughts. I think journaling does something very similar too, but most people don't journal. And so talking things out is how we process information. It literally just, because whenever I'm like coaching someone on like public speaking, I'm like, you have to practice out loud. Because in your head, you know what you want to say, but it never quite comes out the same way. So vocalizing your ideas or vocalizing a challenge can sometimes be all that you need to really work through it. And so I don't know how many of you have ever told your boss, like, hey, I just need to run something past you. But you find that by the time you finish talking, you've already found the solution. Your boss is like, my job was easy today. I love this. So, but that's really what we're talking about here, which is that when you give someone the space to kind of work through what they're talking about, sometimes your input's not needed.
And that is so in line with the why, because that manager that you're talking about, if you give your team member that psychological space and they're able to figure it out for themselves, they'll run through a flipping wall for you.
Right.
Your influence, when you can empathically listen, increases. So that's a huge why. Like if you want to become more of a leader, whether it's in your profession or at home or in your community, listen with the intent to understand versus with the intent to respond. You will elevate. You will have greater influence. This is best shown by a leader of our country. When I was growing up, Ronald Reagan was known as the great communicator. Well, if you look at all the historians that have studied Reagan, and I've read many books on him, he was fantastic at asking questions. He was fantastic as getting his cabinet together and going around the room and asking them their opinion, what they thought, without giving them the answer, even though he might have known it, because they know the answer. They just had to work through it in a lot of cases. And we lose the patience and we want to jump in and be like,
I can help. I can do it. I got it. I got the answer.
Exactly.
That can be the case so many times. I can be like that a lot too, because I'm really excited to like contribute.
For sure. Me too.
Right. It's like, especially when it's like, oh, this is totally my wheelhouse. Like I can absolutely help you with this. But the reality is that you are a better leader by listening and asking great questions, because you're then empowering them to solve the problem themselves.
And guess who grows?
They do.
That's why we want to become great.
What a win.
At listening. It helps grow our people.
Yeah.
It helps grow, whether it's our children. It's too easy to give them the answer, to tell them, do this, do this, do this. Yeah.
And not for nothing, but I win a lot of arguments with my husband by just letting him talk through the problem. So guys, there's lots of applications for this. I'm just saying.
So the third part I want to talk about is, how does this show up?
Yes.
We've talked about what is it? We've talked about why it's important. How does this show up? It's pretty easy, Amanda. You being in charge of the call center.
Yeah.
You being in charge of the whole, dispatching and everything internal operations. How does this show up in your everyday work?
Yeah. So coming back to being the spotlight of the hero of your own movie, everyone's got an agenda at work, right? Like everyone's got a list of things that they have to get done. So easiest example is in the call center, right? In the call center, you've usually got a script of some kind. You've got some non-negotiable questions that you have to ask. You know that there's checkpoints that you have to hit. You've also got the fear of God in you that if you mess it up, someone will yell at you because so many people are going to see the call that you booked, right? You're top of the funnel, which means that your boss will see it, the dispatcher's going to see it, the technician's going to see it, technician's manager is going to see it. So you are very motivated to hit that checklist. The problem that then comes in is that when the client starts to talk, again, you've created a narrative in your head. They've started the conversation. So I'm calling for a tune-up, but it's having this problem. I've now heard nothing else. I know that I've got to tell them that they need a diagnostic, not a tune-up, right? But I haven't actually heard what their problem is. So it is so important that you continue to listen to even though you've heard this conversation so many times, right? Every client's different. Every home is different. Every system is different. You have to keep listening, even though you know that it's coming, right? You have to keep listening because you don't know what's coming. You've just heard the top of the story before. You haven't heard the bottom. Mm-hmm. And so it can be really tricky to fall into that trap. It can be, it's easy to fall into that trap because you are going through the motions, very similar motions every single day. And there are like 70% of your calls that are going to be very similar, that are going to be very textbook, right? But that's also why you have to listen so carefully. There's still 30% of the calls out there that are going to throw you for a loop. And you just have to know that you're answering in a way that we're going to take care of our clients and not just check boxes.
It's great. Great analogy. Yeah, I'd also say we teach our sales team that, and all sales teams inside Wrench, that this is, to me, the secret weapon of sales. Mm-hmm. If you can be an empathic listener and be great at asking questions, so oftentimes the client will sell themselves on you. They buy from people they like and they trust. Mm-hmm. People sell themselves when you allow them to talk and share their challenges. And then you prove to them that you're listening to them, you're understanding them. And this is empathic listening is not gimmicks. It's not, it's not necessarily reflecting back or body language. Those are not gimmicks, but those are techniques.
Yes.
That go into listening, right? You're showing the client that you're listening. You may be nodding.
Yeah.
I've always talked about these wrinkles on the top of my head. Like I got those from being an active listener. I'm not kidding. Just showing that I'm listening intently. And
does that mean I'm a bad listener if I don't have wrinkles in my forehead yet?
No, I think so. And I'm probably 20 years older than you. So if you, in the sales world, if you manage your question to statement ratio, be a great fact finder, be great at diagnosing, be great at allowing the client to truly share. And then, yes, reiterate to the client what you just heard so they know that you were listening. Letting them, really understanding their feelings and then going about it to solve their challenge after they've had time to share. So they really felt heard. Mm-hmm. Your influence, your ability to close deals goes way up. That's how it shows up every single day, whether it be as a technician out there, a salesperson, even installer. An installer who may be going and scoping the job right off the bat and listening and understanding where the challenges are in the house, even though they know what the salesperson sold. The way that you can gain incredible client satisfaction is truly listening to that client and how their system operates when you get there, and what do you look at? What do you think we're going to be doing today, and what's your idea of what we're going to be putting in today, and how would you like this thing to operate when we're all finished, and where are the challenges that you're having throughout your house? Just some of the questions you can ask as an installer, just to make sure that thing is wrapped up with a bow when it's all done and you've addressed all the concerns.
That's a good point. One of the things that I talk about a lot is creating clarity with our clients, making sure they're really clear on what it is we're going to be doing when we get to their home. In all scenarios, right? We have a lot of different people that go out to clients' homes. But really the only way that you can be sure that you've gained clarity is by listening, not by telling them. And we often think that in order to create clarity, we have to explain things to clients. But really the best way to understand what they understand is by having them explain it back to you.
It's great.
Yeah.
So we've done 3 things today, Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
We described what this common service language is, which is listen with the intent to understand versus respond. We went into a lot of detail about Covey and the fact that we never got training on this. And really, it's being a great listener and an empathic listener. We dug in and made sure that we need to listen with our eyes and our ears and our eyes and our heart to really truly understand what this common service language meant and what it was. We then talked about why it's important and giving people psychological air and increasing your influence. Anything you want to add on the why?
On the why? No, I think you said it perfectly. Giving people that psychological air.
Yeah. Giving people, allowing them to...
Space.
Yeah, the
For
space.
their thoughts to breathe.
Allow them to have the spotlight on them.
Yeah.
So important. And then how it shows up. Amanda gave a great call center example. I gave a great example when it came to technicians or an example. Hers was great. Mine was just an example. I gave an example of a technician and a salesperson. And I know we have situations every day like you shared with your husband of how it shows up as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of the key things in my belief required to build a great culture, required to build a great sales organization is flipping what we think really gets clients to buy, which is they don't buy from you if you tell them. You listen in order to sell them. Listening and it to me it's just how you continue to build your organization and build a bigger future.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda, Andrew, here's to a bigger future. Thanks very much.